It's Desm101, and I'm back with another PlayStation TV / PlayStation Vita Homebrew video. We're going to check out another selection of games on the Homebrew browser. Now, there are a few different places you can get these games, but I usually find the Homebrew browser the easiest because it downloads it directly to the device, but you can also go check out Wololo or many other places online. I'll leave some links in the description below. But as you can see, the Homebrew browser has a bunch of new updates here since the last time I was making a video like this. So we'll download a few of them and have a look and see what we think. So looks like there's more of these Android ports, which I haven't actually had a chance to do one of these, but I would like to do one soon. So I might give it a shot with this Final Fantasy IV at some point. But for now, we're just going to try a couple standalone ones and see how they do. So looks like a lot of what's on the new list is quite a bit of ports. And some other interesting utilities. Looks like there's an update to the Scum emulator, which is point and click adventure games. So let's try Blues Brothers. So we'll download a few of these, and then we'll go and try them out after downloading them. So there's a lot of interesting games here. Red Moon of April looks like it's a sci-fi visual novel. So there's a lot of really interesting variety to the games here. Protect the Earth. Looks like a basic little shoot 'em up, kind of reminiscent of Asteroids. If we look a little bit deeper into the individual sections, you can see that there is quite a bit of other games here. Vita Man, Crab Island, Boxing Girl. I think that one was released a little bit after I made my last video. But you can see there's a bunch of new ones on here that I actually haven't had a chance to try. Squid Game, Super Small Shmup, Beginning of the End, Very Obscure Souls, Rico Laika. So some of these might really be worth checking out, especially since they're original games. And the ports seem to be the most frequently updated section. So you can see there is quite a number of them here. Plumbers Don't Wear Ties, Atlantis. So that's a classic Atari 2600 game. I think it came out on some other systems. Emulators haven't been updated as much. Looks like this one was an update to the Pico 8 emulator back in January. And I did try this Flycast emulator, but it seems like the compatibility is still a little low. So depending on what game you try, it might work good, but I think for a lot of the games, they're going to have trouble. And here in the utilities, we've got Bubble Recall, Stock App Remover. So some pretty neat tools. Looks like a lot of them are around getting rid of those default bubbles and setting up for yourself how you like it. RetroArch Bubble Builder. Here's a Registry Profiler. It allows you to modify the registry values and create profiles based on the changes. So we can try this one out too, see how it looks. So we got a good amount of games here. Let's go down and take a look, see what we have. Alright, so there's a good selection. Let's start with the Registry Profiler. Okay, so here's the profiles here. Tells us the controls. Menu, option. Okay, pretty straightforward. So you can turn off these Bluetooth location data, notification alerts, wow. Wi-Fi as well. Your display settings. That's brightness, color space, high contrast, larger text, zoom, RGB. This resolution, okay, 720p, 480p. Very interesting. Sound, main volume, toggle microphone, system music, AVLS, and power. Very interesting. So this could be pretty useful, especially if you want to set up different profiles, depending on what your intent is for those different settings. And let's start with some ports. So we'll go to Blues Brothers first. And I believe this was an NES game, but it probably came out on another platform in addition to this. Let me bring the volume down a little bit. So I'm guessing this might be like a PC port or maybe an Amiga game. Yeah, choose Fire to start. Cool. Some platforming action with the Blues Brothers. Oops. Guess you can't jump on them, huh? Oh. Oh, there we go. So it's like Chip and Dale's. You can pick up boxes and use them as projectiles. Not bad. Plays kind of decent. You can press up to jump over enemies and stuff. Very much like an Amiga game. This must be the Amiga game, I'm guessing. Pretty tough. You need to conserve your weapons, I guess. Oh. Game over. Okay, not bad. Seems to work okay. Okay, yeah, this looks like asteroids. Okay, so you use the... Okay. The trigger will shoot. Right trigger. Okay, and then left trigger will make you go a lot faster too. Pretty simple game. Not a whole lot here. So they just keep coming in various waves. But yeah, it works. It's simple. Fun for a couple minutes. Okay, here's nKaruga, which is a demake of iKaruga. Let's see how they pulled this one. How they pulled this one off. Okay. So it's the R1 button to fire. Pretty interesting version of the game. I certainly wouldn't call it a port. It's kind of like a mini version or something. But it feels fairly well done. If you've played nKaruga before, then you know that you can switch the type of color of your ship, and that affects the gameplay. You can absorb the same color of type of shots as you are. But if you switch, then you're vulnerable. But your attack is more powerful against those types of enemies. Okay, it looks like they even have a boss fight. That's pretty cool. Looks like only his blaster is vulnerable right now. Ooh. Yeah, this is pretty well done. Oh, darn. But that's a pretty cool port. I mean, it's a pretty cool version of the game. I tried to install Curse of Issyos, and the instructions when I went to the source page for that were to patch it actually from the Windows file. And then once you did that, you have to run a mod to it, and it applies another file to that, like patches it. And then once that's done, then you move the resulting file onto the folder where you uploaded the VPK to. So we're going to try again, see if it works. Okay, it looks like it's not giving that error message so far. Let's see if it can boot the game up. And yes, this game is by Locamalito, an amazing developer who's made quite a number of games. Yeah, it looks like it's working. So it was a bit of work, and like I said before, you probably have to go to look at the source page, whether it's on GitHub or you might even find it on Reddit. But in general, you have to kind of put some extra effort in with a lot of these ports, which is okay if you don't mind searching down the source files. As I admitted last time, I haven't actually gone through and done that with my Android games, the ones that I have. So, you know, you can do that if you have like the Grand Theft Auto, or you have some of those Final Fantasy games that are on Android. Not all of them, but you know, obviously you have to go to the pages, or you can look it up on the Homebrew browser. But for ports in general, it's probably not the best way to go about installing those, because the VPK on the Homebrew browser is just the wrapper. So it's kind of like a shell. It's just a shell file. and it really needs the source files. So it's probably better, like for this game, it would have been better if I just went to the source first, downloaded all the files, did the patch, and then uploaded the VPK. Because doing it this way with the Homebrew browser, I had to go through extra steps. So that was a little bit of a pain. And it just depends on the game. This one is there's a free version of Windows, which is what's patched and running here. But the game is amazing. I saw online descriptions calling it a Greek-themed Ninja Gaiden, and I think that's a pretty good description. It feels very similar to Ninja Gaiden, or maybe even kind of what was that, Rastan. Also reminiscent of the what's that called? Olympus game on NES. Something, Chains of Olympus or something. I don't know why I'm blanking out. But this game is really cool. Really nice retro style graphics. And it suits the Vita very well. So I also noticed on Reddit people were asking if they would port other games made by the developer onto the Vita, but it sounds like a bunch of them are not compatible. Something about the resource files that it uses. But still, this is a really nice one to have on PSTV or your Vita. Okay, so I got a few more here to try out. Let's try Heboris or Heboris. Looks like it's a Tetris clone. So you might notice that I always have that configuration loaded message in the top left there. I don't know how to get rid of that. It basically, every time I load a game up, it redisplays, or even when I leave. Okay, got rid of it. Okay. Wow, it looks like an arcade game. So these are, I don't know what it's for, middle class, for beginner. Okay. Yep, so it looks like Tetris. But not a bad version at all. Some decent graphics. I mean, I guess it's kind of hard to mess up Tetris, right? So yeah, this one's giving me tips, I guess, because it's in the beginner mode. Probably normally don't need tips. But hey, just for testing the game out, this is pretty cool. And it's nice that it doesn't require a separate install file source code. Everything is contained here in the VPK. So that's a little more simple. But yeah, that's not a bad Tetris clone at all. I'll probably be playing this one again. Alright. Let's move to the next game. Atlantis. So I did actually put this one on the Vita that I own, but I figured might as well install it here on the PlayStation TV. Okay, so you hold a direction left or right to shoot one of the ones on the side, and then just pressing the button by itself shoots it in the middle. And the goal is to destroy the ships before they make it to the bottom of the screen, where they can blast your cities and your gun turrets. And I did have this on Atari 2600. as a kid, so I did get the opportunity to play it quite a bit. Really like the colorful graphics, and this is obviously a widescreen port. Don't think it looks stretched, if it's the same aspect ratio or not. Simple game, really old school classic game. Doesn't look like there's sound coming out though, which that's a shame. It might just be really quiet for some reason. So I notice there is a wide variety of volume output to the games. So like some emulators will be very loud, but some homebrew will be extremely quiet. But that's not a bad port. Definitely a cool throwback if you're a fan of the old school Atari 2600 game. Okay, so one more game I wanted to check out was a port of System Shock called Shockalite, and it's another game where you need the source files. So I did actually happen to have those as I purchased the game a while back on GOG. So what I did is grab those source files and use an FTP program to upload them onto the PlayStation TV and put them in the requested folder that's indicated on the GitHub page for this port. And we're going to test it out now and see how it runs. So I did play this game originally a little bit, like maybe a couple years ago, and I thought it was pretty interesting. So we'll give it a second. That looks like some pretty cool abstract art. Retro inspired art. And I think it'll take a few minutes or up to a minute or so. But I think this was the game that was maybe an inspiration for BioShock. Might be wrong.
New Atlanta, Sector 11.
Alright, there we go. Let me turn that down a little bit so you don't hear the echo on the mic.
Hacker begins unauthorized entry into the Tri-Optimum corporate network. 126.
Cool, so this one got running, and it did take a bit of work. You need to have those files somewhere on your computer so you can transfer them onto here. So it seems like a lot of ports are like that now. To get the best games onto the Vita, you just need to be able to have the source code to run the port, either from Android or from other sources like these, like GOG, or I think some games run off a Steam version, so that's not uncommon either. You just have to be able to access those files so you can transfer the data onto the PlayStation TV, and you can run it. Don't seem to be able to control anything. Oh wait, there it is. Oops. That's kind of weird. I can't really tell how to control it. Alright, and this is a widescreen version of Super Mario Brothers, where you got a lot more screen space. Lets us pick which world we can want to begin in. Controls a little different, feels a bit more floaty. Physics are definitely their own physics engine compared to the NES version. But it's not bad, plays pretty well. Definitely pretty close. but still a few things are off. Oh, that didn't work. Pretty simple game. Looks like it's a straightforward port. So yeah, my thoughts overall, the ports are definitely really strong right now on the PlayStation TV and Vita Homebrew Browser, but for the majority of them, you're going to need to get the source code and probably patch it, and that way you can upload it and use the VPK to run it. But if you're less technical and that sounds like a bit troublesome, then you might not be as interested in it. That was a bunch of Goombas there. And as far as the regular ports go, as far as the homebrew games go, they're a little bit lacking right now, I won't lie. I feel like the homebrew stuff has kind of slowed down a little bit. Still some good stuff out there, and yeah, there's a few things that I missed and didn't check out in between. So I'll probably go back and download some of those and try them out. But maybe some of the interest has been kind of dissipating. The sound effect was really loud. Yeah, and honestly, I haven't been playing my Vita as much lately. I got a small mini PC recently for doing a lot of my emulation on the battle station on my main TV setup. So I kind of have this running in the office right now when I want to play some Vita games or do some homebrew and stuff. But definitely the ports are some of the most fascinating part. And particularly like that Curse of Issyos. That was probably the highlight from today. But that's going to wrap it up, guys. So thanks so much for tuning in and watching the video to this point. I hope you have a good one, and I'll see you next time. Take care.